All right, guys, appreciate you being here. I am super excited because tonight I am on with one of my all-time favorite Jaguar commentators, not just Jaguar, but all-time like personalities when it comes to talking sports. I'm with Big Game James Coleman. James, thank you so much for being here, man. How's it going tonight?
Oh, that's going good, man. I'm just happy to be here, guy, man. Appreciate you for having me.
So I've told you this before, like the last time that because James and me have done a bunch of shows together, and like I always tell him this, like listening to him and Denny on the Sports Den, like made me want to get into this. Like it made me want to like take this on as a hobby because you guys were so good. You guys were I remember sitting in my car listening to you guys, thinking like this is the type of show I'd want to run. And like I was like, I would made sure I'd listen to you guys on demand. You guys were great. You guys were real. I mean, you guys knew football, and I was like, this is what I'm trying to listen to. So I just got to say, man, at the beginning of the show, shout out to you, man. Thank you. You really were an inspiration in me even getting involved in all this. So I appreciate it.
Oh, wow, man. I appreciate that, man. I'm a big proponent of giving people their flowers while they're alive, even though I don't get very many of them. But
Yep.
one of the things that I've always struck to be is authentic. It doesn't make any sense to do something, and I don't want to ever try to be something that I'm not. And not to get into politics and stuff, I don't really care what people vote, but I always joke and say I became more free when 4 or 5 became president. I said I would never say anything as bad as grabbing by whatever. But if he can say what he wants to say, then about real stuff that matters, I should be able to say how I want to speak about something that really doesn't affect our day at the end of the day. But as long as it's entertaining, and then I really just looked at who was covering the game, and it's a lot of people who I'm not one of those guys that say you have to have had played to be able to cover it because I think that's pretentious. And that's the same thing that I try to attack pretentiousness in journalism. But at the same time, it's a lot of guys who don't do a good job of explaining it and using words that they don't really understand or meaning that they don't understand. And it makes us have a view of the game and the culture behind the game that's just not realistic or authentic. And also guys who have played it aren't doing the greatest job of of we're the gatekeepers, really, in the end of it. Like we played this game, but we're trying to be like the people who didn't play it. So that's why I think Pivot, iHeart, not iHeart, excuse me, Pivot, I Am Athlete, those are things that came after us, but those are really the trend. And anybody who's trying to get into this, I encourage you, have authentic, unique ideas. What made ESPN dope was that ESPN wasn't in the beginning wasn't like everything else, but they tried to become journalists. If you're trying to become a journalist, that's cool. Be in that lane. But if you're two guys like me and you right now, you're in your man cave. I'm in a house that kids run, so I don't have a man cave with kids' toys everywhere and chaos. So if you hear stuff in the background, explosions, that's just my 3-year-old fighting my 9-year-old. Just it's just conversations that we're having as men or as friends or as stuff like that. And I think when you keep that, you can have a lot of opinions and people's feelings don't get hurt. So I think that's dope.
Yeah, you guys were awesome. I mean, like I said, the X's and O's. I love the X's and O's. Anyone that watches my channel knows I go like deep dive in X's and O's, and then just keeping it real and just saying like shooting from the hip. I really appreciate. It's been awesome. Um, I do want to get into Jags talk, and before I do, I have to make sure you go. I have James Coleman. I have everything he has: YouTube, Twitter, in the video description. So go right now, subscribe to his YouTube channel, follow him on Twitter, do all that stuff right now. Like before you forget, before we get lost in the sauce, as I like to say, get in there and start to and follow him, subscribe to all that stuff because James is one of the good ones. And I like, when I was thinking of doing interviews with people, I was like, I got to get James on here. You're one of the first people I reached out to for that very reason. Before we get into Jags, we talked a little bit off the air about your son playing football. I got to know, are you coaching? Are you coaching the boy? Are you coaching or are you just a dad on the sidelines?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you, dude. Like right now, I'm just a dad on the sideline, but it is hard,
I
man.
was about to
It
ask that.
is
My next
very
question was,
difficult.
how are you able to control yourself? Because in youth football, I've spent a lot of time coaching youth football, around youth football. I mean, you get all different levels of coaches. How do you control yourself as a sideline dad?
Well, first I keep it in perspective. And I have one of the things of coming growing up in Tallahassee, playing for a legend in Bobby Bowden and being in a part of a dynasty, and playing in the league, you get to know a lot of guys who have played in it. And Corey Simon, former D tackle, played for the Eagles and the Colts. He told me, like, he said, "Hey man, it's you're not going to be able to sit back." And I've coached him in I-9, and I didn't want to do it. And we bullied kids and we did stuff. So I was like, it's time for tackle. And I help around. I help at a school called Mandarin High School for those who are from the Jacksonville area. You know it. His godfather's the head football coach, so he asked me to coach. So I kind of came out of retirement last year since 10-10 gave me a lot more free time. So um, I did that. I naturally coached, but I was like, I just want to sit back and I just want to enjoy my son playing the game. But I, and he's playing defense, so I didn't play line. I played linebacker in high school, but I haven't played in quite some time. But I have an idea what defense is supposed to do, and I'm just watching it, man. And God bless these guys are volunteering. This is what keeps me in perspective. They're not getting paid. They're dads that are volunteering, and some of them aren't, but they're volunteering their time, and they're helping my son be a decent citizen.
Yeah.
So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. And I also go into this with a perspective that my mother had a better chance of winning the $1 billion lottery than she did in having me go to as opposed to me going to the NFL or my sister being an All-American track athlete and almost making the Olympics and these things. Like my son it's two things I say. I want him to have fun. But my son ain't gonna never say he grew up in poverty or in the hood like his dad did. And if I ever catch him making a rap song about how hard it was for his life growing up, I'm not only gonna punch him, but I'm gonna make a diss track myself. Because he lives in a he just got a 55-inch screen TV put in his
Oh,
room. He's got a PlayStation 5.
at 9
He's
years
got
old?
things at
You're
9 years old.
spoiling the boy.
Like yo, I had a black and white TV because my mom, I think at 10, I had a black and white TV with the antenna because my mom had just went and got a color TV. And I think it might have been 32 inches, and that was like huge back in the day. So, it is what it is. But we're not. I'm not expecting him. I'm not. They're not going to be. They're not going to be Urban Meyer, Jags, and I don't think we have Doug Peterson out there. But I think he's doing good. I don't know if he's any good or not. He's not. As me and his goddad said, we just got to get him to high school. Like we got to get him like it. We got to once he gets to high school, we'll see how big he is, how tall, how fast. Right now, he's pretty athletic. It works itself out by then. But all this stuff, people take too much into it. I'll never be accused to leaving his brother or what happened in
Yeah.
Dallas. That's
Oh
just
gosh. I hope. Yeah. I mean, I've been around sports for a long
yeah.
time. I work in athletic administration for my day job, and the Pop Warner parents, man, they take the cake. They take the cake. They're absolutely the most difficult to deal with. But it is what it is. They're passionate, and I just wanted to know how you're able to control yourself because I know
It's
how it
hard.
can be.
First
Yeah.
game is this weekend. I won't be there. They're doing the Jamboree. I'll be in Tampa. Excuse me, and in Manatee County, basically Bradenton, speaking at a Seminole club. But our first real game is the 27th. I will be there, and I'll keep you up there. I'll keep you posted. I will probably have a live Twitter, live like I used to do my I-9 flag games. There'll probably be live tweets, a lot of frustrations, a lot of jokes, and then FSU fans will be upset, and then Jaguar fans will probably watch it the next day and think I'm picking on the Jags because this time of year, since I've been in media, has been extremely stressful. Like I haven't covered a team that's been. Well, no, 2017 was fun. 2017 was the most fun of my life in media,
There you go.
and it was the best of time and back to the worst of times.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate it, man. Hey, everyone, make sure to go follow James. James is awesome. He's gonna be on Twitter this weekend, YouTube, all that stuff. You guys better all be subscribed and following by now. If you're watching the show after the fact on replay, go do it now so we can get all of the Jags fans and the good Jags fans and commentators all on the same page. Grace Lambert, thank you for the $5 super chat donation, saying love to see it. I appreciate it. UCF Jaguar in the chat. I appreciate that. I I usually try to hit every comment, but I got James on, so I want to get James's thoughts on the Jaguars. So put your questions in the chat for James that you want to see him answer. I want to get your opinion on the Jags. Obviously, we're all in this like wait and see mode because there's a new coach. Last year was a wash, and it's kind of hard to know what's going to happen. But for you, as someone that's played football at the highest level and has been around the game your entire life, like what do you want to see out of this Jags team this year? Like what do you want to see? Like you got to see it that makes the team like, okay, we're headed the right direction. What check boxes have to be done for you to be like, all right, we're headed the right direction?
All right. Well, a couple of things. So I want people to understand how difficult it is to be as bad as the Jaguars have been consistently over the decade. It's easier to win a Super Bowl than to be this consistently bad.
Oh my
And
gosh.
people say, and this is what I mean. The league is designed to be average. So I'm giving you this before I tell you what the boxes are to check. So right now, so it's a 17 game schedule. So most of the league should fall into 8-9 or 9-8 or 7 or 7-10 or 10-7. So between 7 to 10 wins is where a majority of the league is going to be at. If you're 2 to 3 games better than that, you're a playoff team. If you're 2 to 3 games below that, you're a top ten range pick team. Now, it's not designed for you to be a top 10 pick team for the better part of a decade. You should like and conversely, that shows you how hard it is to do what the Patriots did, to be that good for that long, because you're not picking the quote unquote best players every year. You're getting a good player, but it's not like a generational pick unless you traded and you've done stuff. So again, what we are looking so with that being said, what Urban did was so bad that it actually put you now. The year before that, they tried to do that, tank for Trevor.
Right.
This year, you weren't, and you still
You
were in
still
that
got the
bad of a
first pick.
situation. Like it's hard because just think about the Jags were tanking, right? So other teams, in theory, could tank to try to get better draft position, and you're having a competition to lose. The Jags were winning competitions to lose during that time, outside of the last game where they had some pride and you went out and you beat a team, and you stopped them from making the playoffs, which I thought was, I love the petty stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But I think what Doug Peterson is bringing is a guy who not only played in the league, obviously he's a Super Bowl winning coach, but he's still relatively new as a coach in the league. But he understands how things work. He understands how to hire a staff. He understands how to let GMs and guys do their job. And his job is to not necessarily develop the talent, but put the talent into a system to be able to get the best qualities out of them. And I think if nothing, we should be praying for competence, which means we should be average. Anything above average is dope. So average is the first thing. Competent play is the only way you're going to get that. Like, meaning, are we seeing Trevor drop back and actually go through progressions? Are there times in the game where our number one wide receiver can actually run wide open? Like, think of the last time, like, and what do I mean by that? Antonio Brown, when he was the number one, Odell Beckham, things like that. There were times when they needed a play, the offensive coordinator could call and know that that guy was going to get the ball. I don't know when the last time we've had it. You could say Allen Rob, A-Rob wasn't the number one wide receiver. He was a 50-50 jump ball guy. He was just the best we had. That doesn't mean he was good. He was Jag good, which is still not great. So do we have that now? And the problem is we have a bunch of guys that have the potential to be good, and we have a bunch of media that will praise a man for sitting down with the peas just because it wasn't Urban. But at the same time, when you go back and you look at what they were saying this time before last season, they were praising Urban as if he was the second coming of God and anything was better than Baloney Boy. And if you go look at Baloney Boy, it's difficult as a Jaguars fan to truly know what to expect. So you should be optimistic, but you don't have a guy on the team I'm not a Jaguars fan. I cover the Jags. My son is. There's not a guy on this team at this point outside of Trevor Lawrence, and only because he was a number one overall pick, that whose jersey you just have to have. Jimmy Smith in Tallahassee, Florida. I wanted Jimmy Smith's jersey. I wanted Keenan McCardell's jersey. I knew who Mark Brunell was. Didn't know who Tony was, but as I got older, you find out who Tony is. Like those are like there isn't a guy who you just have to say like, oh man, that jersey is going to sell off the shelves. And that's kind of how you dictate your star power. But Travis Etienne, you have that star power potential in him. You have it in Trevor Lawrence. You have it in
What about Travon Walker? Do you think he has it?
I don't want Chris Porter to kill me because he gets really upset when I talk about Trevor. Yes, he does. I have no quarrels with Trayvon Walker as a player. I have quarrels with where he was drafted.
Not I think he's fault. A good.
It's not his fault.
Right.
Completely not his fault.
Yeah.
I think he's a damn good player. He has skill sets, but there are things that terrify me and where you drafted him at. Could we have gotten something that was going to give us more of an immediate impact? Because no matter how you feel, this isn't college. We're not building. It's called not for long. And even now, one of the things that people have been writing about, we're going to have salary cap issues in 2 years if the TV deals don't bump the salary cap up. But as it stands right now, a trash team that's young is going to have cap problems. So you got to get it. You got to strike when it's hot. But I do think Trayvon I think they have pieces to be, again, competent, but I don't know if they have star power, and that may get addressed in next year's draft.
All right, so I got a question for you, and this is kind of like a 2-3 part question, but I know you can handle it. Okay, so this is a heavy question coming. All right, you have a lot of success in the backfield, running back, fullback. I mean, you get that position. So a lot of people have a lot of questions about our backfield, and not just like who our running backs are, but also about the interior offensive line. So in your opinion, playing the position, taking a lot of snaps as a running back, as a fullback, running between the tackles, inside zone, outside zone, feel free to get into the X's and O's. What do you see James Robinson's role being this year ultimately? And the second part of that is the interior offensive line good enough to set both the backs up for success?
Yeah, I think you have two different types of back, and both of them complement each other. James Robinson, it's crazy because I think they said he's going to be available week one. Which is to come back from an Achilles injury is just like, that's just crazy. Like, and I really like James Robinson. I think he's an amazing back. You got amazing value for him. He's a 1,000-yard guy. He's a guy. He is a TOP back, a time of possession guy in the NFL. If you have a solid, actually, no matter what level of football you play, even in my son's team, solid run game, solid defense, you're going to win a lot of games. Because time of possession, you want to be able to wane and you want to wear out a team. So I think he's a guy that's going to move the chains, give you your 3 yards in the cloud of dust. If you really think about it, more of a New Orleans, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush type of dynamic that you have with James Robinson and Travis Etienne. I'm just using examples.
Right.
I'm saying that they're these guys, just using examples. But Travis Etienne, watching his workouts and watching him run, and again, I'm equally surprised because the injury that he had typically takes away your explosiveness. And typically it's like at least 2 years before you're close to what you were before. And sometimes people don't ever get back. But he seems to have not lost it. He's a guy that can give you the change of pace that you're looking for. And because he's so great at running routes, he's really a slot receiver that just happens to be able to be a good running back. Sort of like your Alvin Kamara again in New Orleans. So you could trot him and James Robinson out there, and what the defense has to do is they have to adjust for that personnel group. But the biggest mismatch on the field is a running back on a linebacker. So if you're able to try Travis Etienne out there and you have him at linebacker, and you got him at slot as a wide receiver, and you're able to get a mismatch with the linebacker, and Trevor's able to see that, you now have dynamic weapons that teams are going to have to game plan for. That makes your Zay Jones better. Why can I remember my guy from Arizona's name? Forgive me. The CTE is flourishing sometimes, but our new number one wide
Yeah,
receiver,
Christian Kirk.
Marvin
Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk. I
Yeah.
was about to say Christian Jones, but Christian Kirk. Your Marvin Jones, who is a good wide receiver. He's just not a number one guy, but he had Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones, and the Black Russian. I call him the Black Russian because his name Vishka. Can you
Yeah.
get this dynamic from these guys, man? And ETN with the step on somebody. See, I saw a guy say, it's not slander, it's not overboard. It's just it's not even realism. It's like you cannot, like, if you want sugarcoat, go listen to 1010. You hear it everywhere. Go read Jamal St. Cyr or read those things. There's plenty of good feel good vibes out there, but it's just I can tell you what it's supposed to look like, but until they do it, I don't know if they could do it. I know they should be able to do it. And these packages that I'm just thinking of and dreaming of are exciting. But as you suggested, can the offensive line give them the opportunities to be able to do this? And I do think they can. I think you're solid at center. I think you're okay in the interior at guards. Um, I've heard nothing but solid things about Cam Robinson at left tackle this year, which is fine, which is great because the toughest thing Cam Robinson had did up to this point was yell at Mia O'Brien last year at training camp, I was like, wow, if you were that mean to defensive ends, she would have never questioned. But now, what do we do with Walker Little and
Juwan Taylor?
Juwan Taylor, who Juwan Taylor's had one of the worst camps in his short career, and now Walker Little has been doing actually relatively decent. And you don't need 5 seconds. I mean, you would like 5 seconds, but very few people get that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need 3 seconds, and if you're able to get rid of the ball and make things happen, you'll see things going on. But like I read the reports, I hear these things, but and people have to forgive me. Some of my commentary is a little bit more colorful and funny, and I try to make light of serious things. But you got to remember, like a lot of this positivity was here this time last year, and I was coming out of the hospital, so I wasn't able to get out there. And this year I've been busy, so my first sight of Jags was me looking at my phone. I think it was Hayes Carlin was posting a video bragging about how good Walker Little was doing, who hadn't played football in 2 years, but Walker Little was escorting clavicle chases, shot, whatever. Chase out the boy from LSU.
Yeah,
I learned his name when he makes a play, but he was escorting him out the club. Like, and that's not what I wanted. I was like, and I made a tweet. I was like, I survived COVID to come watch this shit. Like, I wish God would have took me. If this is what I have to deal with, why didn't he just take me? So,
you can't.
But then I go back, and then I come back to see, some of those similar things. So, like, I'm watching the boy from LSU still not do good, and now he has this Pirates move where he like jumps and like stabs or something. I don't know. It hasn't worked yet. Didn't work in practice, and then he tried to do it in the game, and it didn't work either. And I've got Dunn of the Dunn and Drew podcast asking me, can this guy get cut? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like I hope so, but I doubt it. But it's just there's still things like that are on here. That being said, there's some solid football players.
Yeah.
And we haven't been able to say it. And I think that's a testament to having a competent coach and competent leader in Doug Peterson. And I think attitude reflects leadership. So I think at least there's something to be said for that. But to address the offensive side of the ball, like you were talking about, I do think the skill players give you something to be excited for, and hopefully we'll know our identity in the first 5 games. And one last thing, this is what we used to say on the sports den all the time, for things to check off. Real easy. Are we playing meaningful games in November? So that's the first thing. That means, are we out of playoff contention, and are we talking about the draft in November?
Yep.
So we can go through Thanksgiving, if we can go through Black Friday and do our Christmas shopping, eat our ham and turkey, and say, man, I can't wait to watch this Sunday football game because we're still in the playoff hunt. That is a positive. Then you know what you do after that? Man, are we playing meaningful games in December? Okay, Christmas time? That's what 2017 was. Christmas time, we're like, man, do I make plans for Christmas? I mean, do I make plans for New Year's? Are we playing, in the bowl? Are we going to play in the playoffs? So that's really what all you can ask for is at least to play meaningful games. And I think, barring injury and being healthy, this team could shock. But I think they're a 7-win team.
That's fair. I mean, I mean the over under is at 6.5, so seven's pretty fair as far as like they're a little bit better than Vegas thinks. Um, I'm with you there, man. Like 2017, the playoff game, I was there when Ben Koyak caught the playoff winning touchdown catch against the Bills. I was literally in the end zone. He caught the pass. Like,
Funny story about that. So my partner, Denny Thompson, my co-host, quarterback guru, and local Jacksonville boy Nate Peterman, was the quarterback that ended up coming in when Tyrod Taylor
got
got
hurt.
hurt on the
Yeah.
last drop. Denny is in the Jags stadium, and I'm in the club seats, and I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna have to go. I was ready to go run through the field to go to the other side of the stadium to get my boy out of danger, because if Nate Peterman would have led them on a drive to score, the Jags fans were gonna try to kill Diddy, and I could not let them kill my co-host because we had work that night. We had to go do our post game stuff. So, but again, that was just so much fun. I
Yeah.
saved the Buffalo Bill fan from dying.
Oh my
Somebody told him, well, he wanted to go buy beer, and somebody told him that if he just walks a little bit in this direction, there's a corner store eventually. Well, there's no. They had a
They
corner
sent
store
him to
till
a
you get
bad
out.
part of town.
Yeah, so I was
They
just
sent
like,
him
he said,
west.
hey man, yeah, he was like, hey man, I said, hey man, listen, bro, I'm just gonna let you know, go buy, just pay the $7 for the beer.
Yeah.
I said, because what's gonna happen is if you keep going in that direction, you're gonna get robbed or you're gonna die. Like, and I'm just trying to save your life, bro. Like,
Right.
but it was Sunday, so I did a good thing. So,
Oh, that's funny. That was a good game for sure, man. All right. Well, hey, look, we have a time limit on our Zoom call, and we're coming up on like 3 or 4 minutes left. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a short 2-minute break. James and me are going to reset the Zoom channel. Quite frankly, I need to refill my drink. My drink has run empty, and I'm not good at talking Jags when my drink's empty. So I don't know about any of you guys, but so we're going to take a quick break. 2 minutes, and then we'll be right back. I appreciate everyone that's here. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere because we're going to be right back. We're going to talk more Jags with James, so we'll see you in 1 second. All right, I'm back now. Thank you for hanging around from the break. I'm back with James Coleman, who is, if you don't know, one of the best sports commentators in the area. He was on the Sports Den. He has Den Media. Forgive me if I'm getting it wrong, but you do YouTube channels, you do shows, all that stuff now. Go in there. All of his information is in the description of the video. But James, give the people that are watching, whether it's on replay, because we have people that like follow the channel over the seas. Like we have a huge like England following, which I get because we're over there all the time, and our name is kind of soccer-y. I don't. It wasn't on purpose. It just kind of weirdly fell that way. But we have a lot of fans that are going to be watching the show like tomorrow morning, like when we're all asleep. Like where can they find your content? Like where are you doing stuff? Like where can they find you and what you're doing now?
The best way to do it is two ways. You go at Big Game James _36 on Twitter. You'll find all of my different things. Oh no, my bad. Oh my
Hey,
bad.
I love it. Hey, I love it. The family
Sorry.
man, I like it.
Yeah, killers here. Say hi, Kai.
Hi.
Say go Jags.
Go Jags.
That's
All
right.
right, all right, baby, go to my.
That's awesome. I love that.
Just bust in the room. That's my killer right there, man. He is. My oldest son is everything that I try to portray to be. He's smooth.
I love that.
He's
I
smooth.
love that.
He's calm. He's like everything like that I want to be. Fly. Killer is probably who I am. He's impulsive. He just says what he wants to say, does what he wants to do, thinks of the consequences later. So I love both of them. But if you go to Den Media Group on YouTube, you get a chance to see all of this stuff, or at sportsden_live on all your social medias. But we have I would kill to have 40 people in the live chat. Like that would be awesome. Like, typically we only have 10, but we talk about everything. We talk Jags, we talk Knowles, we talk about a lot of the themes in sports. So a lot of regional based things, and we don't have a filter. It's basically like you're at a bar and you're talking sports with friends, but sometimes the things that I talk about, I'm a little bit more intelligent on them, not because I'm smarter than you, it's just because I'm in the field. I'm actively
Right.
pursuing them.
And
So
you've
like,
played. You played the game.
and I played. Yeah. So
exactly.
like when we talk about, so like it's times when I'm wrong, it's times when I'm right, but at the end of the day, it's just about having fun. As I always say, I don't care what you think. I just care that you think. So like, it is just challenging your thought process, man. It's never. Again, as I tell people, I make more money when Florida State's good, my alma mater. I make more money when the Jags, who I cover on day to day. But I also make a career off of telling the truth. So being unapologetic. I know, and the craziest thing is, I know a lot of these guys and they respect it. So like if you want to meet somebody, I promise you brown nosing isn't the best way to meet them, and they won't trust your words. So like be unapologetic, just be for real. And if you're willing to say, like, who one of my best friends is right now? Our old general manager, Dave.
What?
Like
really?
Dave Caldwell is Stu. Like
what's he doing nowadays?
Dave, he's in Philly right now. His son plays lacrosse.
Okay.
D1 Dave, shout out to my guy.
Okay.
He is like I see Dave. Dave is so he's so free now. But and you know what I love about him? He takes full freaking responsibility. Like I love it, man.
Hey, I love that. I love that.
He's like James, I fucked up, man. He's like James, I don't know what I was thinking about when I took Taven Bryan, man. I was drunk. And he was like, or like he'll I won't divulge a lot, but there's stories that you can learn from some of these guys when they know you can tell the truth and they can just trust you, and as I tell people, you can put your own stank on it to make sure that it's just like I told people about Evan Neal in the different offensive tackles. I was like, tell me what you think about these offensive tackles. Tell me why you feel. So even with Trayvon Walker, so my expectations were tempered when I got a chance to listen to a guy who does this for a living and other general managers. And that's why I love going to the combine. That's why I love going to these different things. You get a chance to meet people, and a lot of the staff that I've played with are guys that are not just Dave. So I'm gonna tell you I met Dave in January officially, and he comes up to me and he says, "I know who you are." And I was just like, "Oh God, this is going real, this is going real bad." And he's like, "Well, you don't know. I'm Dave Caldwell." I'm like, "Oh God, this is really about to get bad." He's like, "I scouted you when I was with the Colts," and I was just like, he told me my whole scouting profile from 2006.
Wow.
Like I've met 3 or 4 guys, and this is what they do. Like they're insanely, really, really um good, really good at their job. Just it doesn't work
They're
sometimes.
like
So
thorough. I mean, they
yeah,
do their research. They just miss. That's what
yeah,
people.
it's like
Yeah.
yeah, it's like man. Funny story about me. My first, so I thought I was rich when I got OTA per diem checks. Like we got $1,200 a week, and that was to cover my meals that they didn't cover, but they fed us breakfast, lunch, and then we could take it to go. And I had a hotel cover, and like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we were still there, and they made sure, but my hotel was covered, and I was getting mad Marriott points, and I was eating good, and I have like so that's $4,800 that I was getting, like basically tax free because it's per diem, and I was just living my best life. And then when I got my first check, I I blew that shit. And it
What'd
wasn't
you buy?
even
Come on now, tell us. What'd you
so
buy?
the first thing I did was I went to the bank and I took all of it out and I got it all in like 20s
In cash?
and in cash. I put it back though.
I love it.
I wanted to do this because I had never done it before and I wanted to do it in the safety of my hotel room.
Yeah.
So I took my money and I just threw it up in the air and I made it rain on myself. More like kind of slight precipitation. It
Right.
was good
No,
money,
I
but it
feel you.
wasn't as much as other people's money. And then, man, like New Orleans, I drank, I gambled, I ate. The food was delicious, man. Yeah, I lived a good life, man. And so, like, but I say that as I was 22 years old. So you're giving a bunch of 22-year-olds who have never experienced anything a bunch of money to play a game that they've been really, really good at, and you hope that they stick. And it's tough. It's tough. You got fans whose whole like to Trevor's defense, Trevor's done very well for an entire city to put their hopes and dreams on. Like Trevor Town, like they were like people were buying billboards. Like it was like an entire sports station dedicated round the clock coverage on Trevor. So much so that I could go viral having a spoof of fake Trevor. I don't know if people remember, but Bleacher Report, me and Bleacher Report teamed up, and I took a girl who, unfortunately, she's not that ugly. She actually looks way better when she's dolled up, and she's a lot thicker than Trevor because Trevor ain't got that much ass. But we took Abby, and she's at the University of Alabama now. But I drove her around the city as like driving Miss Daisy, and I was taking Trevor, and people actually believed it. My phone was ringing. I took it. It was just anyway. Like I said, that's how much people were. Again, that's tough to live up to when you've never had that kind of pressure. And kudos to Trevor for being able to do that. But you
I got
like it's tough, man.
I gotta give him respect because he's handled it. You look at quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew, who kind of embrace the spotlight. And like, how could you not? But Trevor's kind of taken the conservative approach to
Mm-hmm.
be like, he got married right when he got drafted. He's like not a guy that likes to live in the spotlight. So, I mean, he's definitely a guy that like is doing it differently than a lot of people do it. And I got to give him credit for that. But
Yeah, because definitely getting married, being a millionaire, and getting married at 21 is like going to the club at 9 p.m. Like
it's not the
it's just
strategy.
nobody's there.
It's not the
Like,
strategy I would do. But that's why I
I
have to
hope it
give him.
works out. Kudos to him. I got a lot of people asking about Trayvon Walker as a pass rusher. And I like Gardner. I'm a Gardner Minshew fan. Just letting people know, just because of the person he is. But you know, don't get your hopes up with him as a pass rusher. He's gonna be a solid defensive end. Like watch the 1-on-ones. That tells you a lot. Don't watch him abuse a third string offensive tackle from the Raiders that might not even be there. Don't watch him against the Browns. Don't get overly excited about Trevor with the Browns without Myles Garrett. Just enjoy the development and the ability to set the edge, to use his hands. Because again, I saw Smoot have a phenomenal pass rush on Walker the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
But then the next clip was Walker having a phenomenal pass set
On Trevon.
on Trayvon
Yeah,
Walker. So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and then Juwan Taylor, who I just said is probably having the worst camp that he's ever had a phenomenal pass set on Walker. He's gonna take time to develop into a pass rusher because he wasn't asked to do that at Georgia. He has the skill set, he has the strength, he has the size, but he's got to figure it out. But I do believe he'll set the edge, and I do believe he'll set it up to where maybe you can have more dynamic D tackle play. Maybe your linebackers can scrape and do a little bit more. I think that's kind of where you want to go. My concern with their defense, the Jags defense, is they're going to be asked to play a lot of man, and Tyson Campbell, while he had a better year last year, has the doesn't have great ball skills. Didn't have it at Georgia. Struggled his rookie year in the first half of it. Got better. Um, what will he be able to get better with that? Shaq Griffin is not a man corner. He's thrived in zone. Like these are the things that you gotta ask yourself because it's
Okay.
going to be tough because they're going to
Listen,
attack it.
James, I want to get into defensive backs so bad. Okay, listen. When I coached with Denny, I was defensive backs coach. That's my position. I was a safety. I want to jump into defensive backs so bad, but I just want to stay on Trevon Walker for 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, and I want to go X's and O's with you here. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I've asked people. We had Jordan DeLugo on from Gen Jag last week, and it was good. I asked him this question, but he couldn't really give me an answer I was looking for because he couldn't really speak my language, for a lack of a better term. Answer me this. When I watched Trevon Walker at Georgia, the dude made his money at like the 5 technique,
Mm-hmm.
head up on the tackle, collapsing, like being able to 2-gap, being able to set the edge on like the weak side if he needed to. Like he was really good, like hand in the dirt, head up on the tackle, maybe the outside shoulder of the tackle. And Josh Allen, I think, is amazing as a 9 technique rusher, whether it's weak side
Mm-hmm.
or strong side. But now they have Trevon Walker stand up in the 9 technique. They have Josh Allen blitzing head up with his hand in the dirt on the tackle. Am I crazy for thinking that they're like forcing these guys playing the wrong position? Like, am I like I'll admit that I'll defer to the coaches, but like everything I've seen these two guys be successful is like the inverse of what they're doing now. So, can you make any sense of the coaches playing Trevon Walker exclusively at a stand-up 9 technique and then playing Josh Allen exclusively at a hand in the dirt, head up on the tackle?
I think just trying to get an idea of what they can do and can you push them. What better time to try to figure that out than in the preseason, and particularly earlier in their career. Hopefully, but I agree with you. Him being at 5, like one of the plays that I believe T Wig, Ant Wiggins, Shop Talk Wig posted that was a really good play was when he against Michigan crashed down on the end, basically spilled the guard and was able to make a tackle. Those are the things that he'll redirect guys. To be honest with you, he'll make his money that way. It will be well worth the first round pick, is if he's able to cause havoc to redirect people to a Josh Allen who is a speed rush in. He's everything that we wanted the boy from
Let's talk
Clinical,
about
whatever, wanted to do. And I think that's really where Walker is excelling. And what you want to do as a rookie, the rookie year, you want to kind of keep that thing limited to what they're good at and let them really excel on that. And then you build upon that. He's not a world saver, but he is a solid guy that's going to give you, I believe, a 10-year career, and he's going to be a guy that's going to be a workaholic. And because you can't, no matter what it is, that size, that strength, that explosiveness isn't growing on trees. So I believe they will be able to do that. And if it were me to actually try to get some value out of my other defensive end that I wasted the draft pick on, I would try to make him in the 5 and bring him off of the edge on that side and hope that he could give me some kind of pass rush there and maybe even Walker with as strong as he is commanding the double team. He Once he really started again, I think Walker can play linebacker, that stand-up linebacker, but I do think right now he's more comfortable at the 5 technique, as you said. But I think that's what's going to make him in 2 to 3 years a player that everybody's going to like be like, wow, Jags really got something here. is because of the versatility that you can get with the overall athleticism that he has, and he's still raw. He's a guy that hasn't been, no matter what people believe or people want to believe, he wasn't asked to do a lot at Georgia, and that's not necessarily his fault.
Right.
Georgia was just that damn good.
Right. They were.
And you also had Jordan, was Jordan
Jordan
Walker, who was up
Davis.
at Jordan Davis. Why is
Yeah.
Trayvon Walker next to
Yeah.
him? Jordan
Yeah.
Davis, who's up in Philly right now, who's a massive man who you
Yeah.
better double to. So I think we don't have that guy right now.
No.
But I do think you can expect things that he's really, really good at, setting the edge, bullying guys. I think those are the things that he's going to do, and I think that will make Josh Allen better. We haven't had Josh Allen. The Josh Allen we had was when you had, even though Yannick was a pass rusher, but you had something that teams feared on the other side. And I don't think we have that. I don't think we've had that. Now, I believe middle of the season, you're going to make teams have to decide, what do we want to do? And either that's going to make Trayvon Walker get more sacks, or, I mean, I think he's the guy that's going to probably, that if your quarterback goes toward him, he's going to knock his head a lot more than Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Trayvon Walker already show his ability to collapse the pocket. I love Josh Allen. I love Trayvon Walker. I just think they have them in complete reversed roles right now.
Understood.
I get what you're saying. They're trying it out in the preseason, and that's fine. And all interviews with Trayvon Walker is he's like, I'm exclusively playing the edge 9 technique out, way out there. And he's been okay, but put his hand in the dirt and put him head up on a tackle and make the tackle have to figure out how to block his bull rush. I understand he doesn't have like the full arsenal of moves, but Trayvon Walker's bull rush is good enough to that's fine. So we'll see. I mean, it is preseason. We'll see how everything goes. Moving on to the secondary, and we're getting about 7 minutes to an hour. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Maybe like a few more minutes here or there. But I do want to hear what you have to say about the secondary. All the reports today and yesterday are Rayshawn Jenkins was playing with the second team and Dewey Wingard was playing with the first team. Now, I understand, and we're not naive fans here. We're all pretty educated. Like, when you get into Cisco, Jenkins, Wingard, all those guys are like, none of them are all world beaters. But who do you see ultimately being the most impactful at that secondary position? I mean, the defensive backs are like set. I mean, we got the outsides, we got the slot, nickelback. Who do you see being the most impactful at the safety position?
I want Cisco. I want to, a lot of fans were not a fan, excuse me. A lot of Syracuse fans were telling me how good of a guy he was before he got injured. I didn't know. I was like, he's at Syracuse,
right,
and they stink, but he's fast, physical, big hitter. Those are guys that could change the dynamic of games when you think about what we have in our conference. There's a really, really big guy up in Nashville that we kind of need people to make sure that they can hit him.
Yeah.
Pretty solid.
He's a good back. He's a good back.
Right. I think Wingard's probably a solid citizen. Probably going to be a really good football coach one day.
He's gonna lead. He's gonna lead a high school team to a state championship for sure.
He's gonna definitely. He's definitely an overachiever in his career, but I just don't necessarily want him on my football team.
Right.
So that's a concerning thing that there aren't other safeties that were. I mean, maybe it's a contract thing too, but like that we don't have anybody that could possibly be better than that. But I would like to see Jenkins and Cisco get the majority of those things on the back half of us. I don't want Wingard. I don't want him on the field.
I like what Jenkins has done at the line of scrimmage. He has he lines up and he like on inside runs. He gets down the line and makes a play between the tackles, which I've never seen him do. Like when they brought him in last year, I was like, why? And then when I saw him get ejected from 2 different games while wearing the Captain C, getting ejected for after the play unnecessary roughness, I was off the Jenkins train for a while. I'm back on it now. Dewey, I think, is a better sideline to sideline player. Like in the back, like as far as a secondary player. And Cisco is just your guy that is always around the football, whether it's a fumble, a tipped pass. So you have legit three distinctively different guys at that position. So it's hard to know. Dewey does seem like a special teams type guy. Um, I, I I don't know. I mean, we'll see. In the secondary
So
position, I'm
that's
a
what you
big.
don't want. That's what I don't want to be talking about with my starters. Like that's not like I just want people to understand. Like people probably bash me like James, you're so. I'm not negative. Just be honest with you. You never want to hear that. Like that's not what I want. When you read an NFL report, yeah, our starting safety. He's going to be a solid on punt coverage.
Right.
We're gonna like that's a feel. So Wingard on a really good NFL team is a special teams guy. He's a guy that comes in to give your starter some spill, like some let him go fill his cup, right? But like here, he's a guy that you're like you have to talk about because he's one of the guys, and that's just one of the things that I think we got. It takes a little bit of time to fix that.
So do you think the Jags are okay at safety? Like that boils it down because like are we okay there? Like do we have enough, or is this a position that like in the near future we're gonna have to upgrade?
In the near future, you're gonna have to get another guy. Call me crazy and a homer, which I am. Let me rephrase. There are plenty of options, I believe, in next year's draft that you could spend a second, third round pick to be able to address that and develop that. Like there's a kid, Jamie Robinson, out of Florida State, who's really, really good at coverage when it comes to safety, and he's always around the ball, different things like that. Another guy that you probably should, which I really wish that sometimes, I wish the Jags would do a little bit better, like, driving a couple hours to the west and not Tallahassee. No, I'm not even talking about for Tallahassee. There's a school called Florida A&M that actually has really good ball players. And there's a kid that's probably going to play significant minutes for the Dallas Cowboys by the name of Marquise Bell, who you could have brought in and probably would have made your team that gives you a little bit of a thing. He was a bargain because of some off the field things, but I got news for you guys. Like if you haven't looked and paid attention to the Deshaun Watson thing, or just in general, this is raise your kids, okay? Like when I see people telling me they still hate Jalen Ramsey, I want my son to be like Jalen Ramsey on the football.
Right.
Off the field, that's why he has a father.
Yep.
Like, and there's things I don't want him to do like me, but it's my job to raise my kids. Football, this is entertainment. These are a lot of these guys, you don't want to, some of your favorite players, you don't really want to go look into their past because you're not going to like it.
Yep.
But just enjoy the art and understand the artist is sometimes flawed. But the kid had some things that weren't really that bad. He didn't kill anybody. It's just some red flags that you're able to get him on a discount. And that happens. But I think, maybe a kid like him would be in free agency that you can go young. And while, I know Wingard and some of these guys are relatively young in age, like NFL is like dog years. Like
yep.
25, 26 in the NFL is a midlife crisis in normal life. So you just gotta push it, and maybe they'll develop it. Maybe the system will lead to us seeing better results. But based upon what we've seen right now to this date, you do need to make an upgrade. I think you'll get away with it this season because, again, the goal is to finally get into that situation where you're being an average ball club. And then next year, you should be able to finally feel like we have hope. Like we can start the season off saying we have the opportunity to make the playoffs.
I agree 100%. I mean, everything you said I agree with, but that's why I reached out to you, because everything you always say I agree with. So I appreciate that, all of your sentiments there. We've reached about an hour, which, I'm deep into like analytics in all areas. YouTube, people don't watch for more than an hour. But if you think about it, you have experience on the radio. An hour of content on the radio is like 6 hours on the actual radio because they do 10 minutes of commercials. So this is like a lot of quality content here. So this is like, I'm not going to take up any more of your time, but I have friends in my close circle, like the group chat circles where we rag on each other, that would kill me if I did not ask you, what your thoughts were on FSU football coming up this year. Like, they would kill me. Like, they would say you had James Coleman on your channel and you didn't ask one question about FSU. I couldn't live with that. They would blow me up and I would not be able to sleep. So I gotta know, James, what are you expecting? What are you hopeful for? Like, what's FSU football looking like for you?
I've been again. So people, if you think I'm bad with the Jags, imagine how I feel about my alma mater that I played for. I mean, I played in what they consider the lost decade, and we won 3 ACC championships. Should have won 4, and I was just outside of 2 natties. That's how we were called the lost. We were part of the lost decade. So they can't even ACC championship. They throw a ticker tape parade now. I think the team has been in a lot of stuff. This is the best I've seen them in the last 5 years. They've done a really good job in the transfer portal. They've done a lot of stuff, but a lot of people say words like culture, things that looks better, things that aren't tangible. So, and they say you need time, young team. You don't go to Florida State to get time. You go to Florida State to get to the league. And if you're there to get an education, go to Harvard. Go somewhere else. Like you know, you're there to play football.
Right.
So the reality is, I think they're going to turn the corner. I think both teams are going. Both the Jags and the FSU have parallel things, and they've been like that for most of my media career. I think Florida State is going to surprise a lot of people, just like I think the Jags will. But I think the standard in the NFL again is the average. The standard at Florida State is competing for championships. Now we won't get to that standard, just like I don't think we'll get to the standard quite for the Jags, but we'll get to the expectation. And I expect 8 wins. I think they're good enough for 8 wins. And I also believe that there will be hope to like how they reach goal to maybe backdoor your way into an ACC championship while Clemson is a little bit weaker, while some other guys are weaker. But I think Mike gets 8 wins, and I think they surprise people in recruiting. Jordan, there's some talent there that wasn't there, and they my son this time last year saw them practice in Jacksonville, and he asked me, "Dad, are we going to watch a high school team or are we going to watch a college team?" And there's two people who tell the truth: drunks
And
and kids.
kids. Yep.
So like
Yep. You're right.
I tell you,
Yep.
he's the greatest sports analyst on any beat. It is so innocent, it's so pure, but it's so straight to the
Yeah.
point. It
I like
cuts you
that.
like a dagger. But I think they'll be fine. You know, if you can't do it, and I like Mike Norvell, but if you can't do it with your 3 toughest games are LSU, Florida, Miami, and all 3 of those teams have been hit hard in the transfer portal. They all have new coaches. This is the worst Clemson has looked in the last decade.
Yeah.
Um, your toughest opponent, technically, your top to bottom, is NC State,
Yeah.
and this isn't an all-time great NC State team. This is just a good NC State
Yeah.
team. So if you can't do it now, we got Alabama on the schedule coming up. We got Georgia on the schedule coming up. Notre Dame's going to be on it again. It ain't getting easier, man. So if you can't do it now, then it's not going to happen. So.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I'm a North Florida Osprey booster, so I'm literally leading the charge for that football program to happen. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen with me at the helm of it. So you can just go ahead and write that down right now. I know you're a skeptic, but I like to make things happen. James, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much, man. I literally, like I said at the beginning of the show, if you're here at the end of the show, you've already followed and subscribed to all of James's stuff. It's in the description of the show. Thank you so much for all the people that were in the chat. James, man, thank you for your time, man. I know your time is valuable, man. I really do.
No,
Time
I
is the most
appreciate it.
precious commodity that we have, and that for you to spend that with us and Jags fans and talking with us, I seriously am thankful for that. So thank you so much. Hopefully in the future, we can get you on again. We can do some stuff, whether it's your channel or mine. I enjoy talking with you more than a lot of people I talk with, so I really do
Man,
appreciate that.
just let me know, man. Hopefully, I told you, my son, my killer's daycare. But actually, I gotta make sure that lady knows that that killer made an appearance on your podcast, man.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
she noticed me from your. She's like, She's like, I know you from somewhere. Don't you do something? I'm like, yeah, I'm on First Coast News, and I'm like, no, that's not. It was the Jaguars United. I'm like, I was like, well, okay, that's fine. I'm famous. There
Yeah.
it is, mom. If you like bad takes and controversial opinions, I will be live. And you like live chats and live shows, I will be on live for I'll be on Big Games BS on Den Media Group. So tomorrow at 11:45 ish. Come on, check me out. And we do that Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we have a good time. So, but yeah, definitely, I may have to. What I'm going to do is we're going to start having our lot. Well, you're in Orlando, or you're in No, you're in Jacksonville,
I'm in
right?
Jax Beach, my guy.
Yeah. So you got to come check me out at Goodfellas, man. We're going to start having a live show on Monday nights right
Where's
before
that
Monday
at?
Night
Where's
Football.
that at?
Um, St. John's Bluff at Beach Boulevard.
That's where I work, bro. That's where I work.
Yeah, it's literally so yeah, right over there.
We
And
talked about this. We talked about this.
yeah, so
You're
you
by the
got to
Winn Dixie right there.
yeah, directly across the street from the Winn Dixie.
All right. Hey,
So you
I'm
got
gonna
to
hit
by
you
the
up because I literally work
UPS
right
store.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, that UPS store that's right across the street is literally right there. So like, you
Okay.
got to come check us out, man. We're gonna go live. We're gonna always break down the night before a Jags game, and then maybe we can get on and have a little segment and
Okay.
have a refreshing adult beverage.
I'm a AD at a charter school right across the street from Sandalwood. So I'm
Oh, you're
right
right
there.
around the
Yeah,
corner.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
right there. That's what I'm saying. So yeah. So hey man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Everyone go follow James. He's the best. Thank you, James. I appreciate it. This has been a one of my favorite shows ever. I always love talking with you. And I look forward to talking with you in the future. As always,